When the quartz crisis reached his peak in the early 80s, there were only a few men left who still believed in the future of the mechanical wristwatch, and one of them was Gerd Lang. Welcome to Caseback Watches, my name is Tim, and today's topic is Chronoswiss. Chronoswiss and the famous Régulateur, which finally sits on my wrist. It wasn't so easy to find a good Régulateur on the used market in outstanding condition to a reasonable price, but finally it arrived. 1 week on the wrist now. Arrived with a full set, the very full set. I can show you this. There are some interesting items. This is the box. The box fits my my study, and this is the outer box. The inner box is really beautiful, well-made wooden box. Very well made. And there you have it. There is the paperwork, freshly serviced. And here, what's that? This is a very nasty, cheap strap in it. What's that? Strange. Here is the... What's that? This is a seal from Animal Protections. This is a seal from an alligator strap. Look at this. But why is it in the box together with that cheap strap? Total confusion here. Caseback watches. Those are the parts from the last service. Some manufacturers give you back the parts, others don't. Okay, the box. Then the seller sent me a magazine about Chronoswiss. Interesting, rather old, in 2 languages, German and English, with nice pictures in it, and a book with some other materials. Let me show you this. There's something interesting in it. First, the book. This is the bookmark, by the way. Hand. And there are some informations in it and some really beautiful pictures, and I will show you some of those pictures in this video. And then I can show you this. This is the price list, Chronoswiss price list from 2004. And now let's check our model here. This is the reference 1223, regulator in steel, white dial, 2,650 euros, which makes roughly 2,800 US dollars. Those were the golden times, and those times are absolutely over. If you want to buy yourself a nice regulator brand new from an AD, you have to pay your 3,500 euros, or let's say 3,800 US dollars. So those golden times are over. Okay, I will show you this watch in detail in a minute, but first let's speak a little bit about Chronoswiss and the history of Chronoswiss. Chronoswiss was founded in 1982 by Gerd Lang in Germany, and with a declared goal reinventing the mechanical wristwatch. And fun fact, my watchmaker, he met Gerd Lang and he told me, interesting character, strong and bold character, he knows absolutely what he wants. At the same time, he can be an ignorant bastard. And yeah, but I think you have to be sometimes an ignorant bastard when your opponent is the quartz crisis. I mean, 1982, this was the peak of the quartz crisis, and Lang told the people, I will reinvent the mechanical wristwatch. And then in 1987, he introduced the Régulateur, and this was the big bang because it was a world premiere. Nobody have done this before, installing a Régulateur dial in a wristwatch. Question now, what is a Régulateur? And I didn't know that, to be frank, but I've read some articles and I've learned that a Régulateur was a huge clock in the shops of watchmakers. And they used the Régulateur for regulation work, and they wanted a very distinctable and big and easy legible minute hand. And so here is our minute hand, very big, very legible compared to the hour hand, which you can find in the upper subdial, and the second hand in the lower subdial, and that's all. And this is the story behind the Régulateur. And Gerd Lang was the first watchmaker who implemented the Régulateur dial in a mechanical wristwatch, and this was the big bang, and it was a huge success, and it really put Chronoswiss on the map in the game, so to speak. And in his early days, Gerd Lang used ETA movements, but also more interesting movements by any car. This little brand, and very collectible. Some collectors go crazy about Anycar. Would be worth an entire video. If you want me to do an Anycar video, please let me know in the comments. And he bought some machinery from Anycar and some old stock, and then he decorated it a little bit, modified it. But in the early Chronoswiss models, you can find ETAs, Anycars, and Marvin movements. By the way, this is an Anycar movement in this watch. We will examine this in a minute, as I said. And in the following years, Chronoswiss presented themselves as a very creative company. In 1991, they've introduced the Kairos, which was the first Régulateur chronograph. And later on, in 1995, they introduced the first skeleton chronograph Régulateur watch. That's the correct term, I guess. So very creative and very innovative company. And this was, I think, the foundation for their success until today. And then 2012 came and Lange decided it's enough. I don't want to be anymore the CEO of Chronoswiss. And he sold the company to the Swiss family Epstein. And since then, Chronoswiss is a Swiss brand. And Lang, strange enough, changed to Doxa. And he worked for Doxa. Or is he working now for Doxa? I don't know. I think he's retired. I don't know. Speculation here. Yes, and what did Chronoswiss without Lang? They've evolved an entire new style, I think. Those old Régulateurs, or let's say older Régulateurs, they were clearly dress watches and innovative, yes, but rather subtle. And if you check the website, the Chronoswiss website now, the catalog, those are absolute loud watches. And I had a little chat with my watchmaker about that phenomenon, and he speculated that maybe Chronoswiss sees the target customer not any longer in Central Europe, where people are a little bit more conservative when it comes to watches, but rather in America and in Asia, where louder watches are a little bit more accepted than here in Central Europe. And then I've read that Chronoswiss produces now only 7,000 watches a year. 7,000 watches is nearly a micro brand. And I wonder if this is a correct number. And so if you have other information, please let me know in the comments, because I cannot imagine such a small quantity of watches. This is like, I mean, this is like Patek. This is way less than Patek. This is in a way unbelievable. So please correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, and now let's go aboard and let's examine the Régulateur. Here we have our watch, and now let's go over the basic specifications. We're looking at a case size of 38 millimeters. In my eyes, perfect for a dress watch. And at the same time, the maximum size for a dress watch, but of course this is arguable. This is my personal taste. And the watch is only 10.5 millimeters thick, and the lug width is 20. Very convenient for changing the strap. We have to discuss this here in a minute. But let's start with the dial. And here you have the legendary Régulateur dial, and you can find all basic informations here, the logo, the Chronoswiss logo, Régulateur, automatique, and you may notice that the lettering Régulateur is a little bit crooked. And as a Rolex guy, I instantly thought, wow, this is a fake. What have I done? But I checked it, it's normal. Every of those models come with those slightly crooked Régulateur. I don't know why, but okay, let's accept this. And it's very legible, very precise, because you can find all the indices printed on the outer edge, and there's plenty of room between them, so it's no problem to read the correct time. And I hope the camera catches this. The color of the dial is, what is this? This is not cream. Is this cream? That's not champagne. I would say this is a creamy color. And the hands are blued. The camera will not catch this, I'm sure, but it's very beautiful to look at, and especially in comparison with blue varnish you can find on cheaper models. Okay, now, by the way, this is sapphire. This is sapphire crystal. Okay, now let's discuss the case. Of course, the distinctive coin edge here, very, very beautiful, I must say. It's my first watch with that feature, and I really like this. Really nice. And here you can find brushed surfaces. The lugs are between high polished and brushed. And here you have the Caseback, and this is mineral because there are tons of scratches on it. I don't know what the last owner did with the Caseback. I think he put the watch on a daily base on a surface like stone or something like that. So very stupid, but okay, I can get over this. And now let's take a look at the movement. It's a little bit decorated. You can find some stripes there, and you can find the distinctive rotor with this Chronoswiss mark on it. And yeah, some decorations, but I'm not overly impressed, I must say. I'm not overly impressed. It's a super accurate, good running movement, but it's not overly beautiful, I must say. It's okay, I would say. Next part, lugs. You may notice there are little screws here. Little screws. So this is a different system. And my watchmaker changed the strap because this watch arrived with an ostrich strap, cognac ostrich 90s, and I don't know. It was a new strap, of course, but for me, this cognac ostrich strap, they always look dated to me, and so I wanted a new strap on the watch, and I visited my watchmaker, and he needed 2 screwdrivers to loosen the screws here, and a little bit of glue after the operation, because you have movement in here, and this movement can loosen the screw over the months or let's say weeks perhaps, and so you always use a little bit glue for safety reasons here. But when it's done, then this is a super secure system compared to spring bars, because a spring bar, we all know that you can, with a little bit of force, you can break a spring bar, but these bars are substantial, more substantial than a spring bar, and so I really like this system. Although if you want to change your straps on a daily basis, then it's not so great for you. Now let's operate the watch. Let's wind it up. I mean, automatic watch, you don't have to do this, but it's nice to touch this beautiful onion crown. Beautiful onion crown. And what I like most here is to set the time. Because look at this. It's so funny to see this. I don't know how to explain, or I don't know why I find this exciting. It's a certain look. Look at the hour hand and the minute hands. I don't know. I like this pretty much. I couldn't set the time now, half an hour, but okay, let's stop here. And that's basically operating the watch. It's a super simple watch, although it has this tricky design. Okay, that's all. We're at the end of this video. This is all I know about the Chronoswiss Régulateur. If you want to have little sneak previews to for the next episodes on Caseback watches, then please join me on Instagram. Sometimes I show their new purchases or new details, which then you can find in the videos, and sometimes it can be enjoyable, I think. And yeah, join me on Instagram. I would be very happy to be in contact with you there. And now let me thank you very much for your attention, and maybe until next time.